Hello and welcome everyone to the PAC Protocol Community AMA. This is hosted in our Discord and it will be recorded and reposted to YouTube. David, Drew, are you guys ready?
Yes, sir, Kuhn.
Yeah, then I would like to thank you, David and Drew, for having the time to be here and answer the questions that have been submitted through the Google form. Most of the questions that will be answered today have been submitted via the Google form, and those are the questions that we will be answering. Do you guys want to start off with some words?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow your lead.
We will just dive into the questions then.
I want to thank everybody for the 52 people plus that are coming into this room. Thank you so much for tuning in today. That's about it. And thank you for the support that you've been showing on social media.
I mean, we know there's a ton of questions and we probably won't even get to all the ones that maybe haven't been asked. We try to do these as much as we can. We have busy schedules trying to produce all the promises that we have, and we're on track for everything. And that's why, we're happy to do these AMAs, because that way we can give some actual, decent, maybe some elaborate answers more into, the details of what we're doing. So thank you for being here, everyone, and hope that we can get to everything.
Yeah, and there's a chat room that's called AMA Voice Chat. It's right above this AMA stage, and in there you guys can chat about what's being said, and maybe in the end we can take 1 or 2 questions from there as well if we have some time left. And so then to just dive into the questions, we will have one from Wayne, who is part of our Discord. It's the question: will the PAC team ever considering shortening the reward time for Masternodes? I think that's the best question to ask to Drew.
Yes, it is.
So I mean, it's not something that's just solely decided by the PAC, by our team, the PAC Global Holdings LLC. We don't control what happens on the network. We do push updates, and if that's something that becomes a priority or something that is more based on making sure the network is performing correctly, then maybe that's something that gets addressed. But it's never going to be a thing of just shortening it for more rewards for individuals just because, it's because people want to. It has to have a reason of, like, the network has to have consensus among those that are pushing the update, which are Masternode owners. So the Masternode owners have the choice of whether or not they push an update or not. And, that's something that would have to be agreed upon by all the node operators. That obviously would change the tokenomics of how many coins are produced or at the rate of. It's a lot of variables to consider, and it's not something that we're ever putting as a priority or even a thought at this point. Like, it's not even something that we've been thinking about, because the node count keeps growing, the network keeps growing, regardless of, third-party metrics, quote-unquote price. The network numbers speak for itself, and the Masternode network keeps growing. So more coins and collateral means, yes, the Masternode reward time is drawn out a bit, but that it all comes with benefits of a stronger network, and I'm sure most people would prioritize a stronger network over a less strong network.
Yeah, and it's the block rewards are set in the network, so those rules exist. And the next question is from Matt on Twitter, and if you would explain yanDNA to someone who is completely new to PAC and its ecosystem, how would you explain something like yanDNA?
Give me one sec, just plugging this thing in real quick. Okay, sorry about that. So the question was, how would I explain yanDNA to someone that doesn't have, I guess, quote unquote, a technical understanding of blockchain, or just
in layman's terms, if someone new, if you meet someone and he asks you, hey, what is yanDNA? And just the simple, easy explanation for that.
Sure. I mean, I feel like I got some good practice of that when we were at the Sandfest representing PAC Protocol. A lot of people come up, not knowing what PAC is, and ask exactly that. What is PAC Protocol? And then also, what is yanDNA? Because that was what we were, mentioning to people. And short and sweet, what we would try and explain very simply is, everyone uses their cell phone these days to take pictures. And if you don't have room on your cell phone to keep those pictures on your phone anymore, you have to use a storage service. If you have an Android, most people use Google services. Not everyone, but most. And if you have Apple, most people use iCloud services. Not everyone, but most. Either way, you're relying on another company to have full control of your information and data. With yanDNA, we're trying to basically build that backwards. That data that is submitted to the network or to the cloud, using that as the example, it's not sent into the control of one entity. It's sent to the control of an entire network, but all the files are encrypted and not accessible by these node owners. So, long story short, how we explain things to people is, if you use Google services for storage, if you use iCloud for storage for pictures and videos, it is the exact same equivalent as far as usability, just using a new, better technology.
Yeah, and that's what excites me the most, is it gets the shards over the whole network and encrypts each shard, and just the technology behind it is really amazing, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, going a little bit more in depth to it, I mean, just to explain why it's beneficial, even just starting a network like IPFS from ground up, having no nodes attached to it at all, spending time and energy building a network large enough to actually be able to hold data using IPFS, that itself is worth it. Just the simple fact of having all these different IPs completely spread out over the entire globe, all the information is sharded and split amongst all these nodes. That's one of the major, people might not know this, but it's one of the major national security flaws in anything as far as data compromising. Not even national security, but you just look at the common day financial institutions and services that everyone uses. Yeah, a lot of them are insured, and we don't see the immediate impacts of things that happen on these networks. But Visa, it gets hacked many times, it gets shut down. You've had other services that have been hacked as far as storing data, where your email is compromised, or you now have to do a search on the internet to see if your email has been used on the dark web, social security number, etc. All of that is data. And hard for people to maybe grasp it, but it's a digital thumbprint. It's your digital thumbprint. It's your identity on the internet. And so if other people are easily accessing your info, or easily able to resell your info or share your info without your knowledge and not knowing what it's impacting, it's a problem. I mean, you would never allow that to happen with your own physical thumbprint and your own physical personality, where someone's personifying you in a negative way, or personifying you and stealing your fame, your glory, or what you're known for. People are getting away with that on the internet. Companies are getting away with that on the internet. And, IPFS is one of those solutions that can really, really solve a lot of problems, as long as you have a network willing to grow it.
That was a great response to the question. And to go to the next one, we have a question from Elia. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, in Discord. Is it possible to get some kind of progress update on the various sub-projects that is being worked on? For example, the Wrapped PAC, the Yan token, the Yan network, marketing, just in general update on the sub-projects.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I can give basically a list of priorities, because we mentioned before in these AMAs, our team is not massive, but it is, strong, and we are pretty good at what we're doing as far as getting things out released. Does eventually end up coming. We apologize for any delays that happen, but we're happy with our progress and what we do. But our priority right now, with everyone fully waiting for more features on yanDNA, and we also have other things that are coming from PAC app, PAC Safe. I'm sorry, not PAC Safe, yanSafe. But right now our priority is getting yanDNA with some more features out to the people to be tested. Additionally, Actually, sorry, our main priority right now, scratch that. I mean, that is a priority, but the first thing that we're working on right now is getting Yan token implementation into the Yan Safe wallet, and then obviously yanDNA so that it can be received and used as collateral for data storage. Obviously, this is putting a lot of different developers together at once, because you have, the blockchain side of it where we're incorporating basically the ability to mint NFTs on PAC Chain. There's now another token introduced into the network for rewards. There's a lot of testing on that side. And then again, I've repeated this many times, IPFS has no direct correlation to the PAC chain other than it can use the network to expand and to grow. You can provide resources from your Masternode to do this. That now means that you have to add our update from on the PAC blockchain side, adding Yan token. It's what people are waiting for. It's around the corner. It's literally what we're all working on right now in dev rooms, just making sure and testing things. And then you have to have the blockchain, that stuff added over to yanDNA, which is strictly right now IPFS and servers and just all data. There is no cryptocurrency, anything as far as, sending things to yanDNA yet. So there's, obviously those things that we got to work on and make sure it's safe and it's good to go for users to use. And that's priority 1. Priority 2, we have updates coming from PAC app, website updates, Yan Safe updates as far as different features and things like that. Multi-currency is a big one. I know we're going to make a bigger deal about that instead of just nonchalantly mentioning it in an AMA, but multi-currency support for the PAC app and the Yan Safe wallet is going to be really cool, because that means now you can use these free to download products and not even have to be using it for PAC's sake. And I think that's a good way for us to show the beautiful designs that we're capable of doing, the user-friendly designs, and be able to advertise it or at least market it as a product that you can use, not necessarily for PAC, but you can use it for what you need it for.
And I can already hear everyone screaming. When? That's the question that's on everyone's mind.
Well, we've been trying really hard to organize our official announcements and official graphics and educational content before we just go out there and talk. But I think we're finding a middle ground of us realizing that the community or new people want to know more at one time and wait for us to have our regularly scheduled, educational graphics or informational graphics or partnership announcements. We schedule all those guys. They're not we're not talking and we only tell you when, all of a sudden, let's do this. No, we schedule it because we want to try and be organized so everyone on the team is aware of where we're at progress-wise in the public eye. We have our own progress report as a company of where we're at, who needs to be doing what. But obviously what we relay to the public might be a few steps behind for obvious reasons. I think we've come to a middle ground or discovered that our developers, doing these AMAs, us being able to just talk openly and give progress reports and just different features that we're planning on doing and wanting to do, as long as not everything that we say is taken completely out of context or taken as a 100%, you have to listen to this exact words, exactly how it was said. I find it very fun to interact with our community in our open Discord or Twitter, as long as it's, a legitimate conversation and not hostile on either side. But us giving updates on stuff and, for instance, multi-currency, it's a big deal. And, we're definitely going to make a bigger noise about that when we release that news in an official way. As I stated, we plan these things. But I think it's fun that we're able to talk with our community and let them know things that we're doing now, I guess, in advance, and get the, report on that. Wrapped PAC, I heard you mention that, Kuhn.
Yes.
Wrapped PAC, that wasn't even part of any roadmap of ours, period. It just wasn't until we realized, okay, the space is starting to change a little bit, starting to alter. Doesn't hurt PAC to have options to be able to wrap your asset and put it over onto a different DeFi, project or whatever you want to do with it. I mean, it's your PAC. You can do what you want with it as long as it's available. So that's something that we're working on too. The thing that has to come first before Wrapped PAC is available is the YAN token implementation, that update. Once that update goes smooth across the network and it's looking good, then the bridge for ERC20, DP20, wrapping your PAC over those, that's going to be the next step. But once we get the update done, the YAN token being added to the reward cycle, YAN token added to YAN safe so that you can reserve your storage. More those things will start flooding out. Once you get one, the next one comes quickly, then the next one comes quickly. We're gonna have a very busy. We've been having busy months, but we're just gonna keep having more and more busy months, especially with us doing the Wrapped PAC and other partnerships that we have. I know I think you mentioned Flare as well. That's something that we don't control. But when that opens up as well, that's a whole nother avenue that PAC is now involved in. And so we're going to be constantly working, constantly busy, and things will come in time. It's just we gotta get it done first.
Yes, and to hook into that Flare, there's another question from Timothy about this. Timothy did this question via Twitter. Is PAC going to participate with the Songbird network, or is it only going to participate when the whole Flare network is live?
I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing with Flare per se as far as that goes, because I know originally what we're doing with Flare, as much as I can speak, because you guys have to understand, I don't speak for Flare. We have a partnership with them. What they work on is what they work on, and they ask for our support in the developmental way, we'll obviously respond to that, but we don't put our nose in their business and we wait for progress to go. That's just how it works. But anyways, our original agreement with Flare and what we're doing with them is that we are going to be building, once they're ready on their side, building a possibility for people to delegate their own Flare tokens or their tokens towards the the governmental network stuff that they got going on, so that you can vote on whether or not the prices submitted for assets are accurate or not, the on-chain, interacting that you can do. That's something that will be presented to us to then offer to the ARC network, our community, that if you are installing a Flare validator, or you're recognized as a standardized Flare validator, one that you can point your coins to increase your vote power for that node. If that node was to win on the Flare network for price submission, they're rewarded. That's how their network works. In our case, if we have multiple people on our network dedicating their tokens to our validator, we submit price submissions, and our validator is the one that is selected as accurate and the one that is selected to provide the info. Everyone that is providing their tokens to our validator is now part of the reward payout. So as you can imagine, it's pretty, it's always lucrative to have a partnership like that, where you can, set up a validator and immediately contact a network of over 22,000 nodes, which, it's a powerful statement to say a network has 22,000 nodes. Have each and every one of them have the option to dedicate, if they own any Flare tokens, dedicate their tokens to our validator and participate in possibly receiving rewards from a successful mission of price for assets and accepted on the network. That's our original and our standard, agreement with Flare. We also have other things that we cannot talk about, other things that are signed and things that we are producing as a company, not necessarily for people to use, just company basis. So again, we're a development company. We do sign contracts with different partners to provide services to them, not necessarily always involving PAC. But that's how we're able to, operate and keep the lights on as a company as well.
Yeah, that's a very elaborated answer. Thank you. let me look at the next question. There's a question from Francois. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. This is Francois from Discord. And his question is, how many people do actually work for PAC?
I mean, I don't have a head count, but I can tell you that continental based, I'd say we have at least 10 people in each major continent being part of PAC at one point or another. Besides obviously the one that's dormant, Antarctica. But right now, currently, our development team is pretty massive and expanding. We have at least 15 people focused on the different projects that I mentioned. Some projects that aren't for public use, but things that are for future potential partners. We have developers working on that, web designers, our marketing, as people have noticed. If you look at our recent PR on Yahoo Finance, scroll to the bottom, A-list communications. So we're expanding a bit on who's representing us, obviously who we're bringing into the fold as ownership, as people have seen that expand over the years. I'd say in total we have that I'd say 35 individuals at this current time working on just different parts of PAC, whether it's development, marketing, graphics, social media management, customer support. We could definitely use a lot more, especially as more and more users are, accessing different products as they come out. But, I feel pretty confident in how we've grown, and obviously more growth means more growth on our side. So we'll continue to do so. We're always searching for talent too. And don't I guess confuse that with we're desperate to hire. We're just desperate to have new and great talent always, added to PAC. I think people have noticed the developers that have come to PAC over the years have produced some pretty amazing things. And, we try to, we strive for that only. We want talent here at PAC. We even have those that have come to PAC and ended up learning a lot and being way more talented at what they originally were than what they are now. And that has a lot to do with working with a team, but then also just experience working with a community. You never know what you're going to hear from a community. It's just one day it will be one thing, the next day it'll be something else. And I'm not saying negative. I'm just saying it's very hard to always be on your toes for those things and put that into your work, in your development work, knowing that you're listening, knowing that, you're interacting with people. And then the support side. I think PAC is one of the best, period. I'm sorry, I can't think of another project that I've actually paid attention to, significantly enough as far as watching their support system as I have PAC. But I'm constantly seeing people praise the support system of PAC. That is not an easy job. It is not an easy job. And I think we're doing awesome in that. And we're always looking for more people to add because we're going to need it eventually.
Yeah, and on that note, I would like to thank Cookies for always taking care of all the support tickets on Discord. He's doing an amazing job. Yeah,
guy's always been stellar.
Yes, and then we have a question for David. Earlier there was a question on the various sub-projects that's being worked on, and as people seen that the branding campaign is on its way. And how is it going with the branding campaign? Can you give some words on that?
We have everything set up, scheduled on a certain timeline. It correlates with everything being finished up. So some of the things that Drew spoke about today. So we have everything pretty much ready, set. We've already launched a few things where you saw, the billboard and on NASDAQ, the campaign that we had for 3 weeks out in London, which both had good responses. But we do have a timeline set up to go ahead and do a branding campaign for PAC Protocol, and of course yanDNA. It's there.
And then
we'll come out. We want to come out with it we don't want to just come out with it and have it have no effect. We want to, we want the products to come out, and then we'll come out with the branding with it, and it'll all work out. People will go ahead and get to see our marketing once our products are ready to go.
Yes, building the foundation. It's like a brick wall, brick by brick, and in the end, you have a finished wall that you can start promoting.
100%.
Then the next question, probably for Drew. It's from Jingu on Twitter. If someone destroys the masternode that is part of the yanDNA network, the puzzle pieces from this masternode would disappear, right? Then how can you recover the file completely?
Good question. The best way to answer this is just with our planned release with the public version of IPFS servers. Because right now, we've mentioned this before, but I'll just elaborate it again. IPFS yanDNA beta version, the only nodes that are supporting IPFS network currently at this time are nodes that are owned by the LOC and or our partners that have agreed to participate in the beta network, allowing people to have access to free storage so people can see how the network works, so we can monitor how the network's operating. People got to pay for that storage, and that's where that storage is coming from right now. When we get to that point of public IPFS node offerings, where people can now use to install IPFS server on top of their Masternode, or even just on any server, it doesn't have to be on top of a Masternode network, it's just convenient. When we get to that point, there's going to be a backup system included in the public network, because right now, I'm obviously not going to say I guarantee you, but with the nodes being ran by the LOC and our partners, I know which nodes are in whose control and whether or not they're actually active. I can't say that when it becomes public, right? So in the event that someone's running it, and like you mentioned, it gets turned off, what happens to that piece of the file? Our backup system is essentially going to be, I think it's one of the first, if not the first, but it's a decentralized backup system where there will be a secondary network, very similar to basically how the network's running right now. How it's running right now, all the nodes are owned by the LLC and our partners because it's not a public offering yet. The backup system will essentially be the exact same thing. So in the event that I were to upload a file to IPFS once it's public, meaning other nodes are able to support IPFS, public network. When I upload a file and it gets dispersed amongst all the nodes, if one of the nodes were to go down, without that file ever being requested, without it ever being sent to someone, you just uploaded it and didn't do anything with it, and then a file got deleted, but one node got deleted, the backup system for this basically always constantly requests every new file that gets put onto the network so that the file is cached on the network. So even if technically, you upload a file, a public file, and we're not talking about encrypted files now, we're talking about you upload a file and it's basically viewable, that file right there is immediately requested by the backup system. That way it's cached. And if a node were to go down in that event and there's a piece of that file that's missing, it can just request the secondary IPFS backup network, retrieve that piece of the file, and there you go. You have your entire file intact. Encrypted files, that's a different situation, because when you start offering public, support, it's like me asking you, what happens if every single Bitcoin node goes down at this second right now? Obviously, likely, no. But the answer to that, the network completely dies. That's the true answer. So in the event with IPFS, it's using blockchain technology, and if we're making it public, the network has to remain operative by those who are operating it. You start relying on a decentralized system, people have to understand what that means. There are always going to be areas of a network like that where in the event of everything gets shut down, well, that's the same thing in a centralized way, except it's way easier to happen in a centralized way because it only needs to locate one area. A decentralized network, like, what PAC has been built into, 22,000 nodes growing, IPFS can easily be, installed on every single one of those nodes if by option. And then anything else too. It doesn't have to be a server, just has to contact IPFS. The amount of storage is immeasurable. The backup system being used to cache the information just in the event that one server goes down, let alone it could be half of them. It could be all of them except one. As long as there is a system there that's reporting those files and they're retrievable, and there is not going to be an issue. But this is why we're in beta. I don't have all the answers exact to a T. This is new technology, something that we're trying to build and bring to you guys. So that's why we released in beta first, so that we can measure and see what happens in the event of how we can bring solutions that make sense.
Yes, always good to have more data sets than just the one in our closed testing. And also the public testing gives a lot of information, of course. And then the next question from Makish on Discord. Here's a question on the partnerships with your masternodes. Could your masternode give service simultaneously to multiple projects? For example, support Gala and support Flare?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best way that you should look at a masternode at a server is view it as your own personal cell phone tower. And you're allowing whatever service to ping off your tower and provide service. With respect that your tower is capable of dealing with so much information. With server, it's making sure that your server is large enough with dealing with so much information. As long as your server is large enough that your masternode is attached to, view it as your own personal cell tower, and you're allowing transmission through that server, providing services to different partners, either partners that we've as a company officially partnered with and will be offering these kind of ways to expand their network as well. Easy installation of their full nodes using what we have out now that people might catch on, what we have out now for PAC for easy installation for nodes. If it's easy and people already know how to do it for PAC, and it's an easy way for other networks to expand their decentralization and how many nodes are running, it's obviously beneficial for them, and it's beneficial for us to be able to get our products out there and people to see, wow, this is easy to do. I don't even need to have PAC. I can just use this. But then, what is PAC? Let me look into how is their network so massive, and we're able to use their products now to expand other networks because they provided a very easy way to deploy a full node instantly. As long as your server is big enough and your cell phone tower is big enough, you can provide service to anything. As long as you maintain it, there's obviously that side of the job too. It's not just you put something up and it's good to go. There are a lot of things that have made that easy with PAC, like POS score and notifications and things like that. But other projects, you just have to be aware of what you're getting involved in, how to maintain their connection, and you'll be able to do whatever you want to with your Masternode server as long as it's capable.
Yes.
I mean, a good example of that is just the recent, don't mean to cut you off, but a good example of that is just the recent notification that we gave everyone that the PAC blockchain is growing. It's a natural thing. And as it grows, you have to upgrade your server so that it has enough space to provide the service it needs to do, which is have a full copy of the blockchain. So if the full copy of the blockchain is larger than your server, you can't do it. Pretty easy, I think, way to understand that. Like, your server just has to be large enough to provide the service requested.
Yes, and for all the questions that come from that, the current masternodes running on the older servers from Vultr are still okay. You will just need to make sure that when you receive a scoring or you just run your routine maintenance, that there is enough space left, since the new masternodes are deployed on the servers with 32 gigabytes instead of the 25 gigabytes, which is a whole lot bigger, as you can hear from the numbers. And then there is another question from Kin on Twitter. He asked, will it be possible to deploy your own token on the PAC chain? Is there an NFT project on the way?
So that, yeah, I mean, I might as well just, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about, like just little information pieces that we can give out before we officially do, but that's definitely the plan. And token is the first of, and it's not limited to. It's the update that we're pushing to PAC is essentially when this is all full set in stone, anyone can create their own token, create your supply. It'll be a collateral event, not something to where you can get your collateral back. I shouldn't say collateral. It'll be I guess a transaction input on the network that allows you to do this, similar to submitting a proposition to the Masternode network to vote on. You need to send 100,000 PAC to the network. It doesn't go to anyone. Essentially gets burned. But that's the transaction event that has to happen for you to give a proposal. Same thing will basically be this way for Yan token. Like that'll be the first token that gets initialized on the PAC chain. Obviously, it'll be coded a little bit differently because of how we're doing it, with it being rewarded to Masternode owners directly from the network. At the same time, you get your PAC Masternode reward. But this is something that's locked. So, and I'm talking about token creation. It's locked at the moment because obviously we don't want all these tokens just being made out of nowhere while we're trying to launch the first one, Yan, with a specific use case. And that gets to that point of where we feel comfortable and like, okay, we can now allow other people to create their own tokens. That'll be a simple little push on the network, little update to where, and an announcement of letting people know you can now create your own token with your own ticker, your supply. This is how you have to do it, which is a transaction event. So here's how much it'll cost, things like that. And more information will come. Like I said, I can't give everything right now. Don't have all the answers to it because this is new for us. That is how it is being built. Yan token will be the first. It'll be locked at first to where no other tokens will be created. But when it's unlocked, it's not just, us, the LOC we're the only ones that can create tokens. No, it's going to be a network thing. Anyone that's on the network that wants to create a token and they want to do their transaction, and it's a transaction because we don't want people just making random tokens and just not doing anything with it and never spent anything to do it. And it was so cheap to do it. That's why there's a transaction, a collateral or transaction event. Make sure that you're putting skin in the game and or you're responsible for your token that you're creating. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be really exciting to see the different projects that come from it. And, I'm not trying to draw this comparison right now immediately, but just trying to use the right terms for people to understand. But if you look at Ethereum, people create tokens on that network. It's going to be really cool to see the first projects that get created on PAC network. You instantly get access to support with 22,000 nodes. Your token is no longer, your token is definitely not going to be in any stressful moments of not being supported because the network's already at 22,000 and growing.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I already knew this, but I'm excited.
Some little things were said about it, but this was by far the most in-depth information that's been released on it. Of course, wait for the official releases for anything.
And then I think you did mention in that question, so I've said it before, but yes, you will be able to mint NFTs onto the PAC chain. You will be able to store your NFTs on IPFS. You most definitely will be able to mint your NFTs on the PAC chain. The way that we are presenting it to you guys and using IPFS, yes, there are other projects that use IPFS for storage, and yes, you could store your NFT on theirs. We're building it to where you can store your NFT on PAC chain without bloating the chain, meaning I mint an NFT and it's a very, very high resolution picture, video, blah, 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 and I want to mint it as NFT. It's going to be expensive if you use most likely it's going to be expensive if you use the most modern ways of uploading NFTs. And that's why we're we're building it to where you can mint your NFTs on PAC, and the hash and the information of the file, basically the meat, the bones of it, it'll be hosted on IPFS. This way, PAC Chain does not get bloated. Your NFT does get minted. It is recognized, obviously, by its own individual hash. Will be able to be searched and verifiable ownership. And the information can then be stored on IPFS for distribution. So that's the long haul, long story short, what we're trying to do. The NFT can now be distributed on IPFS, and you'll be able to essentially charge people or request a certain coin in return for the content that you're trying to share. That's, obviously by choice, don't have to, but we feel like this is a great opportunity for PAC to show the power of our chain, how much data can flow through it, pointing in that space of, NFT creation, but not necessarily bloating the chain because of it. And, we don't want it to get to that point. That's why we're trying to, everything that we build, thinking next stage. How do we do this and not cause the problems we see today? How do we do this and make it easy for everyone to do in the real world and also at home? People use it for personal reasons, but then there's also going to be those, those corporate reasons. They want to use blockchain for their products and enhancing what they can do. A lot of different directions and a lot of different solutions that we're working on.
The possibilities are almost endless.
Most definitely, especially as the network keeps growing. You'll be able to provide more services.
Yes, and to go to the next question from NeoBTK in Discord. His question is, could you elaborate a bit on the partnership that PAC has with Gala Games, and if there's any information that can be shared on the partnership?
So, I did kind of mention it before, not specifically Gala Games, but using one of the products that we have now that makes it really easy to deploy nodes. When we hear, specifically from Gala Games that it is in their best interest to also expand their network of amount of nodes supporting it, that's something that'll be the first thing that we incorporate into yanSafe, or one of the first, to allow people to deploy their node. And, more information will come from that as far as if there's going to be any incentive to do so, but there is no incentive to run a Bitcoin node. So a lot of people need to stop having that be the first question that's asked. Is there incentive to run it? There's not always an incentive to run the node, other than you're growing a decentralized network that could probably provide you services that you might really want to use. That's an incentive. And then additionally, obviously, whatever they offer on their side and their network for providing service. And then PAC as well, we already know that there's an incentive for growing the PAC network. So more things will be added to it as it comes, but first and foremost, using yanSafe to grow not only the PAC network, but other networks that get added to that for easy deployment.
Yes, and why would a company build a cell tower on their own land to have a better connection, to host part of their own, be part of the solution?
Exactly.
And then we're already 45 minutes on the way, going fast. And then we have a next question from Adu from Discord. And his question is, will yanDNA be released on Linux, or how can I use it on Linux?
I saw that question, and I don't know. It's not something that's going to be released on, as far as, if we're talking just usability of creating an account and using it as how it's being used now and with the new features being added, no. As far as installing an IPFS node that's going to connect to the overall network, possibly, but that's not something that we're just focused on getting the product out of the beta situation, adding more features while in beta so we can get more testing reports. And as far as the yanDNA being on Linux, I'm just going to say that answer is probably a no.
And you can always reach it through the web service. So if you are on Linux, you can always use the web service. And then the next question, we have already answered this one earlier.
I think we've answered quite a few of them already.
Yes, we have answered quite a few. Let's do one more and then see where we can end. There's a question from Nick on Twitter. Why did Wrapped PAC came into existence, and what will it be used for?
Did you say Wrapped PAC, Koen?
Yes, yeah. The wrapped. Why did we start with Wrapped PAC?
I mean, it's a good question. It sounds like a question from someone who probably noticed that it wasn't in our original roadmap. Something that has been kind of added to our workload because us as a company and as a team, as people that pay attention to this space, and then also hearing from just reading from the space, not only our community but overall, tie in what we're doing with IPFS. It makes sense, obviously, to provide a solution for NFT storage. But when you start looking at all the different services that can be provided via blockchain, not necessarily from a company standalone point, third-party providers, third-party partners, API, partners to where people can use their credit card to buy cryptocurrency. There's a lot of things that can be done in the crypto world without your company being the one that is, I guess, quote unquote, on the stick for it, always being responsible for every single product that you build. Not everything has to be your own exchange, your own this, your own this. So looking at Uniswap, looking at PancakeSwap, looking at how they've grown so quickly and made it so easy with their plugins, with MetaMask capabilities, and allowing people to interact really on any device. You could plug in on your PC, your laptop, and then access it also on your phone. And that's something that we've been doing over time with PAC in general, but allowing wrapped assets to where people can choose to wrap their PAC, and it's the way it's going to be done. The bridge is going to be built in a decentralized fashion, so there is no entity controlling how it's being done and how it's being performed, and you could take your PAC to other platforms if you choose to. It allows people to interact with PAC on Uniswap and PancakeSwap as well. So if those are exchanges that you're comfortable with, and liquidity will be provided on these exchanges, because that's how, people don't know, that's how these exchanges work. There is no listing fee other than doing the work and then providing liquidity for the initial trading. But that's what's going to be cool about it, is that the supply on these exchanges aren't going to be like ERC20 tokens where the entire supply is released by the creator. It's a bridge where anyone can wrap their PAC, and now they are the people providing the liquidity, at least on the PAC side. So it's cool. There's different DeFi projects that people can get involved in if they choose to. And we just kind of had that conversation of why not? Like, why not allow people the option to do it? It's not like we're not allowing it, but someone has to do the work, right? Someone has to build the bridge. And we're not just focusing ERC20, we're also focusing BAP20. So hope that it helps people. There's different wallets too, and there's different wallets that people might trust over others. Maybe you like the UI better. Maybe you have other assets already being held there. Like for example, MetaMask. We're able to get onto these, get this bridge complete and be supported by the ERC network and Binance Smart Chain network, etc. You're able to use that wallet now to hold your PAC as well. It'll be a wrapped version of it, but at least you're still able to use that in that sense and trade it for other assets on these exchanges if you want, or get involved in whatever you want to get involved in. It's more just giving people the choice. That's all we're trying to do.
Correct. And it makes our lives a little bit easier in terms of onboarding. So
yeah, and then I'm not guaranteeing anything, but just my math-oriented brain just kind of thinks of this immediately. But think about it. You got a wrap, a bridge to wrap asset that straight tells you that if it's wrapped beyond another network, then it's no longer recognized on this network as active, which first thing that goes to my mind is it's not being listed on exchanges either. Other thing is it's not being collateralized into a Masternode. But you look at the greater picture and you look at the amount of PAC that is being wrapped, and this is available, it also gives you a pretty good outlook of how much regular original OG PAC, native PAC, is available on the network as well, on the PAC network. It's a good way to gauge the growth.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then we've been hosting this AMA for 50 minutes. I think it's a good place to stop the AMA and to thank everyone. Does any of you have some last words?
I mean,
go there.
Kuhn, you asked if I had any last words. Like, have any last words?
No, not like
No,
that.
no, not really. I mean, other than I'm just, like, kind of like how we open. We're always happy to do these. We've just got busy schedules and got a lot of things going at different directions. So we like jumping on these as much as we can, and the patience that everyone gives us. But hopefully that these answers were a little better than what you've maybe read or tried to understand but didn't understand, and maybe you still don't understand, and that's why we'll keep doing these AMAs as soon as possible. And not only that, but I think we've been doing really, really good, pumping out, more information, even just reposting past information and keeping everyone, as educated as possible as we keep working and bringing new things to you guys. So again, I appreciate you guys all being here, the patience to listen in throughout this. It's awesome. And, the same people, I still see some of the same people that pop in here every time we do these. So cool to have a loyal base.
Yeah, and for the people who do not know the real core of PAC protocol, like the blockchain side, the Masternode side, the long-living Masternode quorums, and how the network works, I will be starting with a PAC protocol webinar that will be starting on the 15th of December. A sign up for that will be distributed in about a week or so. And if there are some signups and people who want to learn more about the PAC protocol core and the basics of the Yan network, you can sign up for the webinar. It's if there are paid webinars out there, then it's completely free. You can just join and see me do a presentation on PAC, and in the end, of course, answering your questions about the core, not about new developments, but everything that is already built and I can speak on.
And
we also, at the same time, we want to be first to market, and besides that, we do sign NDAs, which don't allow us to go ahead and speak about certain topics. So just be patient with us. Like Drew just went ahead and elaborated on two things that that to me they're game changers for our network. So just stay tuned and be patient with us. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here. If you missed part of the AMA or you want to listen back, this will be on our YouTube within 24 hours probably. We'll need to edit it a bit and post it online. Thank you all for being here, and I wish you all a very nice day, very nice evening, and a great night, depending on where you are in the world.
Have a good one, everyone.
Have a great one.